Hey guys, how's it going? I'm sure if you've been around the channel for a while, you probably recognize this tractor. This is my 1971 John Deere 140H3. This is the tractor I picked up, God, I want to say it's been close to 3 years now. 3 years ago. No. 2, 3, somewhere around there, years ago. This is the 140 I bought. It had a funny hitch on the back of it. It had a couple stupid looking lights on the back of it also. It was in pretty rough shape when I got it, pretty much a parts tractor. The engine had a fuel pump on it. I don't know if you remember that or not. We rebuilt, quote, rebuilt the engine in the tractor. I'm guessing the cylinder was a little bit more wore out than I thought it was. That was also kind of the first time I really experimented with and messed with rebuilding an engine, re-rigging an engine. I stuck new rings in it. I got it running and it ran really well, had really good compression, but I guess the oil ring got stuck or something didn't seat right and the oil ring ended up going out, which caused it to burn oil. Which it didn't really do it too bad, I don't think. However, it did smoke and it bothered me and it was noticeable, so I ended up parking it. This was going to be a parts tractor actually. Hard to believe, right? It sat around back for a while and I did pull pieces and parts off of it for a couple of my other 140s I have. Eventually I ended up coming across a 14 horse Kohler from a parts yard. Actually the same parts yard I bought my Homelight T12 from and my 312 from, the one that we saved from. And we also filmed at that parts yard, come to think of it. We filmed a video over there and I found the Homelight and the 312 and, well, I ended up having to have them both. So we got the engine running. Oh, this was off camera. I never filmed this. I never put this on YouTube, I don't think. I pulled this, I got this engine, somebody brought it over here and I got it running. I stuck it in this tractor and I've been using it ever since. We took this tractor to a couple of tractor shows. I pulled a wagon behind it with some friends of mine, and then we took it to another show, and it helped, what was that show? Wellington. We took it over there, and I kept the steam engine, the traction engine running that we were running. I didn't keep it running, but I kept it supplied with wood, and this tractor helped out with that quite a bit, pulling the wagon as well as the orange patio. We kept the wagon filled with wood, supplied it to the steam engine. I don't really think we did any riding around at that show in the wagon. I think that one it was more or less work. And then at another show we went to after Wellington, I keep forgetting where that one was. I want to say Finlay. We had the wagon with us and we pulled the wagon around. It really wasn't a steam show. It was more or less a little tractor show, which some people it was probably kind of boring, but I know for a fact to us we enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun with it. We did a tractor pull with it and we pulled the wagon around with it, like I said. We even tried chasing a train with it. It went over okay. We kept up with it, but it was faster than us. So yeah, and then also it shook real bad and Mason's in there trying to film it on his camera and his camera's shaking around. I remember watching that video. So today I want to touch on a couple problems this tractor has, I've noticed, and I have noted down. I think it has a leaking head gasket. It also, I want to look into the charging system on it a little bit. I want to adjust it, go through the ignition system, go through the carb, and just give it a good once over because it runs a little bit rough, especially when it's cold. And when you run it at quarter throttle, it tends to kind of hesitate a lot. So I want to look into it a little bit. I want to check the valves. I want to check the head gasket because I think the head gasket's blowing out. Like I said, I've heard a chirp from the head gasket. Usually when you hear a chirp, it means your head gasket's going out. So that's one thing I want to look into. I also want to look into that transmission. I would really like to drain the fluid out of it, put new fluid in it because I don't know the condition of that fluid. Also put a new filter on it for the rear end. The overall, well, I don't even know. I don't really think, I could probably get away with not changing that fluid. I don't think that fluid in there is very old. I feel like I actually put that fluid in there because it didn't have any when I got it. Yeah, actually, and it had a really bad leak. I remember that. This one had a really bad leak and I fixed it. So it's got new fluid in it, it needs a new filter. So that's, I believe, got everything in the loop now, but I want to look through that head gasket like I said. I want to also go through that starter because the starter that this engine has on it is a little bit weak. A friend of mine took Jack and Mason both. I know you guys know who they are. They've been in the videos. They work on model locomotives, which I think is pretty cool, and I've been starting to get into it a little bit myself. I don't have any yet. Well, I have one. And one of them stuck some brushes in some alcohol to clean them up. I wanted to try doing that and just go through that starter and see what it needs. I know it needs something because it seems like it has a lot of trouble. I think it's just getting old. So that's what I want to do with this guy. Just give it some attention and get it ready for next year because I know it's going to be used a lot. And then as its substitute right now, I've got the 312 with the rear blade on it. So this was my only tractor with headlights and a working rear light. And well, now I don't have any tractors with working headlights for my snow plows. Well, I have the T10, but its lights aren't all that great. So yeah, let's get this one going again. So I believe if I remember right, this engine, I think I had it apart once before, and I had discovered that there was cross hatching in that bore. I don't know how long ago this engine, I believe it came out of a Cub 149, being a 14 horse, 149 or something with a 14 horse. I'm not completely sure what all models that they had that had 14 horses in them, but that's kind of my guess. Thinking that, yeah, I don't know. I lost what I was saying. But I want to check that head gasket, see what the head gasket looks like. That feels warm. And like I said, go through the ignition system and pull the carb apart. I want to check the valves also. But I thought more than likely the best thing to do first would be to check the head gasket and just make sure the head gasket's in good shape. It's got one of them plugs on there that I don't like. I don't like those brass top plugs. I didn't even realize I had it. I wonder if that is the source of any of my problems at all, now that I see that. Let's just check the plug. Let's see what the plug looks like. I don't think it burns any oil. I haven't seen it go down any. Yeah, that tip's loose. Looks alright. It's got some shit on it. Looks alright. It looks like it's been running fine. I think that plug might possibly play a role in the majority of the issues I'm having. But it don't look like it's running rich at all. It looks like it's running pretty good. So let's get these two wires unhooked. There we go. We'll get that bolt and that bolt pulled. That'll get this cover off. And then once we get that cover off there, we can get the head off. This is one that I hate to pull apart, but I like to keep it up and going. That way I know it's doing good. Because this is a good tractor. I can say that with confidence. Let's try this guy. There you go. Then you do have to take the bolt out because it'll still hold that bottom shroud. If you don't. I'm also wondering if maybe one of the bolts came loose. I don't think any of them did. I don't know where the head gasket is blowing at. Let's see. Right there. You can see it looks like it's been leaking right there. Might be a crank seal, actually. What I'm looking for is wet spots, such as that right there. The shroud's not wet, just right here. Yeah, that's a blown cylinder head. It's definitely been leaking, I think. Yeah, but just moisture. You know, you can see that around here. That's, I think our cylinder head might be compromised. So let's see. All of them seem to be tight, so that's good. And then the other thing I'm also looking for when I get all the bolts out is I want to see if it looks like, as I look around the perimeter, any of them or anywhere it looks like it's been leaking. That one's loose. No, not loose. Now it is. Yes. 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 All of them should be loose. Yeah, look at that. You can see, I haven't flipped the head over yet. Looking at that, you can see right here, it's definitely been leaking something. It don't look bad though. It looks good. I'll tell you that. How's that bore look? Bore looks good. It's even got a little bit of cross stitching in it still, it looks like. That's good. Let's bring that cylinder up. Come on, just come to the top of the... Gotta do it the hard way. Right there. No play in the piston, that's good. Exhaust valve feels a little loose. Both of them feel a little loose. They might be supposed to. Although they may be needing to be adjusted. Intake, exhaust valve's up. Intake valve moves kind of easy. I don't think it should move like that. I wonder if their springs are bad. It's got a little bit of wobble to it, but it's not horrible. I would say the intake valve would be the one you'd be most concerned about. Let's watch it and see how it does. It's got a little bit of slop to it, but they both seem alright. Let's get that piston back up all the way. That intake valve's coming up. And then I'm going to grab my wire wheel, I'm going to clean the top of this up, and once I clean the top of this up, we'll see if we see any markings. So let's see about cleaning this area up here. Then I want to go through all these and tap them. Then I want to clean up the head bolts, which actually shouldn't need cleaned. We got to look at the bottom of that head still. So yeah. Damn it, my battery died. $237,406. There's a number. Wonder what that's about. Let's go ahead and take a look at this head. I have not flipped this thing over yet, and it's still got the bolts in it. Ready? And you can see where it was leaking right there. You can see the liquid. A little bit over here, but it don't look too bad. Yeah, right there, see, it definitely shows it's been leaking. Looks alright though. I guess we'll throw that in the vise, and we'll clean it up with the wire wheel. I'll take all the bolts up front and get them all cleaned up and happy. Taking the bolts and the washers and soaking them in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm also thinking about doing it with the cylinder head too. I'm thinking that might loosen stuff up on this. I want to start with these and see if that does anything, maybe cleans them up any at all. I did wire wheel them and they do look good, but maybe there's some loose stuff on them or some kind of residue that we could wash off with that. I don't know, but that is currently the plan. I did not do the washers. Those are all still the same as when they came off the engine. I would clean them up, but the bolts are easier to do and these are more of a pain. If this doesn't do anything, we'll end up cleaning them up with the wire wheel. So let's go on and get the starter pulled off here. I grabbed some brushes, so we'll more than likely be changing those out on here. Gonna also end up tightening down that nut on the bottom if I don't change this whole assembly. Touching all the bases today. May as well. There we go. There we go. Cool. Let's take that over to the bench and we'll get it pulled apart. So let's go on ahead and see about getting this took apart. Take that off there. These, I don't know about that. I don't think you have to take that off. Maybe. Actually, just take that out and it should be fine. I don't know if I've ever been into this starter before. I feel like I have. Come on. No, it's just gonna jump. I have to loosen that. That's probably 3/8. Loosen that and hope that it decides it wants to go. So back here's your brushes, and then here's the rotor, here's the gear. We'll be taking the gear. We'll be taking everything off of it pretty much. And I did bring a box of extra parts over, so we should be able to get that from there. Maybe by getting that to move, it'll loosen. That might make it easier to get off. Take that, and then these two loose. I can't remember if that's a 1/2 inch or a 7. I want to say it's a 7. No. Not a 9, is it? No. Here's a 1/2. Yep. That's what I thought it was. Just about didn't want to let go. So that and that, I want to say those are both 3. Just see about. And those do go all the way through the unit. And that looks pretty dirty. I did grab a couple of brushes, so if we have to change these, I actually have an entire bottom if we decide we want to change this out. I can just get that to move down a little bit. There we go. There's your rotor. It's stuck in there magnetically. There we go. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Ouch. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had this one apart before. Let's see about getting this off here, if we can. Grab myself a little rubber mallet. Alright, ready? Here's your brushes. Oh, they don't look awful. So I guess what I want to do, oh, there it is I want to see about soaking that in the ultrasonic cleaner, maybe. And I want to soak this too. Oh, there's more springs. Looks like all our brush springs were in here. I thought so. The rotor must have came out with it. I think we're missing one, so I'm just going to throw that one in there. And then I have extra brushes here, so if we end up needing them, we'll just throw that assembly in there. Let's see about... I had a starter one time, I believe it came off my blue patio. The magnets in it were completely shot. They didn't have a charge to them at all. I'm glad to see that these have a little bit to them. Yeah, the starter's rough. Let's see about wiping that out. Maybe we'll get somewhere with it. Yeah. I'm gonna try soaking this in that ultrasonic cleaner. I want to see if that does something or not to clean out the crap and everything in here, all the carbon. So yeah. Let's try doing that. Let's see what happens. So let's go ahead and pull the starter out of here. I have not checked on it yet or looked at it to see how it looks. I'm curious to know if the ultrasonic did anything to it or not. Looks a little bit better. Okay, it definitely pulled some shit out. Let me take this in the house and rinse it. I don't have a sink. Oh, I have a sink out here, but no water. And I'm gonna blow it off with a compressor, and we'll go through it. I would say that looks pretty good. Here's that starter after taking it apart. Here's the rotor. Rotor looks pretty good. This I cleaned up on the wire wheel, as you guys saw. This and that I have not touched. This is how they came out of the ultrasonic. And they actually look fairly good. The brushes look a little bit worn. I might still try to clean them up and just see if that does anything. I actually don't even think they need to be cleaned up. They look alright to me. At least I think they look alright. Yeah, I might leave them alone. I want to take that top and I want to throw it in there next, and I want to let it run for a while just to get the carbon and stuff off of it. But yeah, it cleaned that out. Oh, you can't even see. It cleaned that out pretty well, I must say. It definitely looks a lot better than it did before. So let's throw the springs back in there. I don't see a reason to mess with anything else on here, so we'll leave this alone. And then I guess here next we'll go on ahead and get the top of it cleaned up. Oh, and here's this for anybody wanting to see it. It cleaned up fairly good. As you can see, there's no trace of anything in there. My finger comes out looking pretty good. So yeah, I must say I'm pretty impressed with that. It did pretty good. So we'll let this sit here and we'll get the top of it soaked. Let's go on ahead and get back into getting this this starter all put back together. I took this and ran it through the ultrasonic. That's what it looks like after running it through. I took the bolts and I ran them through, and I also cleaned them up on the wire wheel. It did pretty good at cleaning them up, but I wanted to try to get a little more of the stuff off of them. A couple things I want to do is I want to run a piece of this stuff, Scotch-Brite, through the center here to try to clean up and polish this bushing a little bit. I believe these are brass. They might be copper. I've seen brass and copper bushings. I always thought they were just brass. Trying to rig this up small enough to get it to work.
There we go. Look at that. There we go. Looky there. Now if we can get it to go all the way through, I would like that. Got it a lot further through than I thought we would. Well, that cleaned up nice, if I do say so myself. So I would say, do we want to do the bottom? I think that one looks alright. Maybe I'll get that one with the toothbrush, or the toothpaste. I'm gonna leave that alone. That should be alright. So I think the next thing I want to do is I want to get these into their spots. It's usually easier said than done. Put some oil in there and then get that assembled and back together. We're going to see, hopefully we can get those brushes that are in there currently to work, but more than likely we're going to have to end up taking and replacing the brushes, which no big deal if I have to do that. There's a lot of ways to get brushes to stay, and this is the one that seems to work best for me, especially if your thing is clean. Sometimes you go around a couple rounds, other times you'll get them to stay with just one like that. I've been thinking about making a plate or something to hold them down with. That's been my idea for a while. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't do enough of these to really warrant needing one at the moment. I probably do enough actually too, but I don't at the moment. That ultrasonic does a good job at cleaning stuff up, I'll give it that. Shit. This one's gonna be a bitch. Trying to get my fucking finger out. There we go. That's probably not gonna hold. Oh, it did. Then last and not least, this guy. Hopefully it goes easier than that one. There we go. Then running multiple around helps a little bit, I guess. There we go, look at that. So now that'll hold it in. At least that should hold those in. Let's put a little bit of oil inside of that. It's been cold out here the past few weeks, so everything's still kind of cold. Come on, go in the hole. Why is it not going? Probably fighting against all the oil I put in. More than likely. I wouldn't think so. Maybe it is. Maybe there's something else in there we're fighting. All of them go into their bores like they're supposed to. I think we're in now. Yeah, now we're going in. So I guess we just start taking the tape out. Careful not to rip any of it and leave it in there. Like I'm doing. Once you get all this out of here, there we go. I don't get why that won't go into its board. I feel like it's supposed to go down further than it is, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh well, it's in them. So we want this side, the one that has the magnets on bottom, I believe. At least I would think. Maybe. Actually, maybe we want this side. I'm not sure, I don't remember. There we go, that's how we want it right there. And then you don't want that to come out, you want that to stay. And then we'll just take our top. We already ran the thing through that. So I guess we have to find the bottom, which I'm not sure where it is. Can we grab a light without losing our spot? Well, there's these little marks on the side of the starter, so I'm going to go with that. And then we'll take our housing and we'll line it up with that also. And yeah, that actually looks just about right. Right there. We got it. I should put a little bit of grease up here actually. We should oil that before we put it together. Just do a little bit of oil in here. Just to have it so we know that it's got oil in it. It's not going to eat itself to death. Because all of it is a bushing, and then bushings tend to get eaten if they don't get lubricated. There we go. So let's get this sucked down. Hopefully that turns, which it does. Cool. Turns good and nice. No slop in it. It moves a little bit back and forth, but that's normal. Sounds good overall. So yeah, let's get the assembly all back together. Dab a little bit of oil inside of here. There we go. And then from there, we'll throw that or this on. I feel like there's something that goes in between that, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking of the wrong thing. And then we said that was a 1/2 inch nut right there. We'll just take that and we'll put it on there. There we go. So now, that moves nice, moves pretty good. And it seems like it works as it should. So yeah. So I guess now, we'll just take this and flip it back up. May as well since it's there. I wish we could just take it out. Right now, if I leave it the way it is, it's gonna hit the block and I won't be able to put the starter on. Oh, look at that. We got it to line up. Okay, I'll go with that. Was that a 7 or was that a 3? It was a 3. There we go. Let's get that put back onto that engine, and once we put it back on the engine, we'll try. Let's go ahead and get this starter put back on here. Shouldn't be too bad. I would go through and do those threads with the tap and get them took care of, but I think we'll be all right. Yeah, they thread in there pretty easy. I'm not too worried about them. I think I did that anyway when I put the starter on. I haven't tested it yet. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I guess we'll find out whether something went wrong or we got it together right and it'll work. Hopefully the second option. But if it's the first option, we'll get some entertainment out of it. Let's get this tightened up. There we go. Let's see if it cranks. Ready? It actually sounds a lot better now too. So that's good. So yeah, I guess that cleaned it out. So let's go on and get this head put back on, this 140. I got another head gasket. This is not new, but I don't believe it's been on a tractor that has been run. Don't know, but we're going to try it anyway, see how it does. Hopefully this one's in better shape than that other one we had on here. Not sure what the size or what the torque spec is of the head. Yes, I know I should know this. I have no idea. I was wondering why it didn't have compression. Let's try that. Ready? I would say that starter sounds a hell of a lot better than it did before. So I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah. It is a couple days later. I've got my breather gaskets, well, valve cover gaskets, I guess, breather gaskets, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, One thing I actually would not mind doing is I really would not mind taking this cover and putting a thing inside. This is your hole right here for the oil to drain back in, so you want to put that on bottom. I would not mind putting a nut on here to hold this in, so that way you're not depending on that front cover to hold everything all together. But as I'm looking at it right now, I can see that the threads don't go all the way back that far. You'd have to put a couple washers on there, follow that by this, and then that. Well, actually, no, the threads still don't go back all the way, but they give you this little rubber piece here that goes over top of that, and that's what holds this entire assembly. And you know, the gasket's sitting right in front of my face, so oops, but that's the way it goes. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a nut inside of there to hold this assembly on. That way, because I think personally that would be a better setup. We'll try it and see what happens. If it ends up giving me problems, well, then we'll just go with the correct method and do it that way. But I'm one to experiment with stuff, so we'll try it and we'll see how it goes. I'll be right back. The one thing I would be concerned about is you want to be able to have that screen able to go in there, that little filter. Well, I guess it's not really a requirement, but you do want to have that in there, even though I just said it's not really a requirement. So hopefully that holds that in there tight enough. Let me grab a ratchet. I was worried that wouldn't fit. There for a second. There we go. So hopefully that holds that tight enough, and it's not too tight on anything inside of there. I don't think this needs to move at all. It's not covering the holes in there for the air to flow through, so I don't really see, you know, what the problem would be with having a nut in there. I feel like I've done that before. I think we should be alright. If we end up having a problem with it, you know, I can just come in here and change it out. It doesn't really matter to me. Let me grab the cover. Now you do also want to be careful for putting on your cover. You don't want to over tighten it, and you also want that on top. So we'll just take that. And the reason you want the hole on bottom for the inner cover and you want the hole on top for this one is so no oil comes out of the breather cover while the oil is able to drain out of the breather assembly in there. That reed valve inside of the cover that we just put in there, that opens and closes. When the piston comes down, it opens, it pushes it out. When the piston goes up, it sucks it in and doesn't draw any air into the crankcase down here. It makes it easier to go down, I guess. So with that being said, it lets air out but no air in, and it has the hole in there on bottom that I showed you earlier so it can drain oil. I don't want to go too tight. That's probably enough. It can drain oil out of this assembly here and back into the block, where if it didn't have that hole in there, as you guys saw earlier how much oil drained out of this when I took the breather assembly apart and we opened it up, this will fill up with oil right here, and it'll start coming out of this eventually because the hole for it to drain is all the way up here. Now it could, I guess, go back in through where the reed valve's open, but I don't know if it could or not. It should be able to. But there you go. That's how you put the breather assembly back together. So, and then we'll put our governor arm back on. I don't remember what notch that went into. I want to say it went into that one. I think I actually have that backwards. That I do. So, and then that hooks up to here, I believe. And then we'll just take that and stick it in right there. So hopefully after everything that we've done with this machine, it should run a lot better. At least I would expect it to run a lot better. Being the fact that I worked on it, I don't know, that's kind of hearsay. But, it'll run. It better run. So, when we go to throttle it, let's throttle, there we go. Now when you go to adjust your governor, you're going to want the throttle all the way open like that. So now we can put the carb back on it and get rid of the stupid vice grip that's been staring at me in the face and I've been tired of looking at all week. And hopefully this damn thing will run. Hopefully all the work that we've done pays off and we didn't just do all of this and put all that time into it for nothing. Maybe it'll run a little bit better. Because I can say it did run a little rough, I noticed. But I do believe that that head gasket was kind of questionable. There's a few things that I'm kind of on with this one, especially being this engine came out of a parts yard. I don't know what the problem was with whatever it was in that got sent to the parts yard. For all I know, it could have been an engine related issue, or maybe the tractor it was on, the transmission went out. That could be. I guess you never know. I know I've had a couple that transmissions have gone out in that I've kept engines from. There we go. The transmission had problems before I bought it too. That Cub 105 I had that we messed with and tried to get the pump replaced on, that's one of them. I actually don't have that one anymore. I sold the tractor. However, I do still have the engine because the engine was still good, but I had somebody who wanted the tractor, so I went ahead and let it go. Well, he was looking for some parts. I don't remember what he wanted. I think he just wanted the seat off of it. So I told him, I don't care. I didn't really want to get rid of it. I thought that tractor was really nice and I would have liked to save it. But at the same time, I had already dropped the transmission out of it. I had already been through it quite a bit and it just didn't really seem worth keeping going. So I went ahead and just parted it. I said, I'm done. And then he wanted the tractor, so oh well. I think I got that thing free pretty much. So I mean, oh well, I didn't lose nothing on it. So there we go. This is all put back together. Oh, I completely forgot to explain the governor. So the way the governor on here, the way you adjust the governor is you put it at full throttle. As you can see, I have it at full throttle. You take this shaft and you turn it. Turn it forward, turn it back. You want the shaft to be all the way back. If it's not all the way back, it's going to rev excessively. You want this back all the way. I'll even do it again just for the video. Loosen this up a little bit. This is how you do a governor adjustment. Take this and you loosen it just a little bit. Loosen it, not tighten it, stupid. But you take it and you loosen it, and then after you loosen it, keep the throttle open all the way. Turn it forward, back until it stops. Forward until it stops, back until it stops. When it stops, make sure it stays in that all the way back position. With it in that all the way back position, do not move this throttle arm at all. You take and you tighten this like so, and when you tighten that without moving that throttle arm, that keeps the governor in place. And there you go. And sometimes you will have to mess with it to get it perfectly tuned, I guess, but that's how you do it. And if you have to do it a couple times, then oh well, no big deal. So now let's get our fuel line hooked back up. And before I put the air filter back on, well, we want to make sure it doesn't piss out and leak everywhere. First, we want to make sure our seat is good. That line is collapsed. I do not think that the seat, I do not think the needle is closed because I keep seeing bubbles. It should have stopped by now. I don't see anything leaking. It'll come out right there. It'd start coming out by now if it was leaking. Well, maybe it's not leaking. So I'm gonna pull the camera back. Let's try starting it. That is a good looking tractor in my opinion. So let's go on ahead and let's see about starting it up. I'm gonna move this stuff off of it. What do y'all think? Think it's gonna start? I'm gonna go and say no. Ready? You see a problem here? Oh well. I'd let it sit there and run, and I'd take it out and try driving it around. But if I do that, that choke is going to close, which it's already doing. And yeah, so I'm going to go on ahead and get the air filter assembly put back together, and then we'll hook the choke back up on it.
And once I do that, I'll bring you guys.
Got the air filter assembly back on it. Let's go on ahead and try firing it back up. Try doing a small bit of driving with it once I engage the transmission. And I guess we'll see how it does. Hopefully, it drives around nice. Am I engaging the hydro or am I boosting it? I also want to point out that starter sounds an absolute lot better after going through it. So, yeah, it also fired right off. Still want to do that. It's either too cold or the carb needs to be adjusted still. Let's get it outside and fight with it. Camera out, but it's raining. I don't really want the camera out there right now. I want to take care of this camera. Let me get it so it quits creeping. And then we'll play with that carb and see about getting it adjusted where it wants. Sounds a little bit better to me. It's not popping as much. Take it up and down the driveway. So what I was testing was I was trying to see how much charge that engine was making. It's charging, but it's not charging fast enough. It's not able to keep enough voltage. It's only going up to 12.8 or somewhere around there, where one of these usually would be charging it at 14 volts. So with that being said, something in that charging system is problematic, whether it be the stator or it be the voltage regulator. I'm not entirely sure. So that would be going into and testing the regulator. I'm pretty certain the regulator on this may not be all that great. That's probably the problem there. I'm not completely sure. I gotta see how long this video is before I decide where to go next, because I've got some other things also that I want to do on this tractor other than that. So I'm pretty certain, I hate to pull that engine out of that stupid thing. If I pull the engine out of it, I'm gonna end up repainting it. So I'm trying not to, basically. So I think the next motive is going to be check the voltage regulator, see how much voltage is coming out of the stator, and once we figure out how much voltage is coming out of that stator, the stator delivers current AC, that's alternating current AC. It converts it from AC to DC, and then it goes from there to the battery, and that's what charges your battery. So either the regulator is not working right, it's possible. There's a fuse on there that maybe that fuse is blown. I doubt it. There's a few different possibilities. You know, maybe we don't have a good ground. Even something stupid like a ground. Could be that. Could be the stator on there is shot, not putting out enough power. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's what we need to figure out. So yeah, let me get a couple things done real fast. It's getting kind of late, and I just got back from work, so I got the gaskets in the mail today, and lo and behold, and I'm pretty wore out, so yeah, there you go. So let me get a few things done real quick, and I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to do that, and then we're gonna check the voltage. Well, and also today's my mother's birthday, so I think we're gonna go out somewhere nice to celebrate it. So yeah, let's go on ahead and let's jump into tomorrow. So the way to check your charging system on here, or at least the way that I check the charging systems on my tractors, is I take my voltmeter, and right here is your voltage regulator. You run the wire from the regulator, you take the plugs from here, unplug them, as you can see, stick the terminal in those, and then read the voltage off of that with the engine at full throttle, because that's where it usually charges at its most highest voltage. And when you do that, you also want to have your meter set for AC, also known as alternating current. The stator makes it alternating current, like I said before, and this converts it to DC. So we'll set our meter for AC, set it over there, and we'll run. I don't think it matters which terminal you hook up to what. I've never really had an issue with flipping terminals around. So let's get this thing started up, and I'm gonna let it warm up for a minute. And then after I let it warm up, we will check the voltage and we will see exactly how much we're getting. That definitely starts up a lot better. So while we let that warm up, I do want to check the voltage because it should be charging right now. We are currently making 5 volts. I guess that's not bad. So the stator's good. I don't know if you saw that or not. So now the lead that we need to check is the middle one. The middle one sends it to the battery. Two volts currently, it looks like. We're only making 8 volts. That's not enough. That's your problem right there, is that regulator. So one thing I forgot to mention, and I forgot to do myself, is you change the voltage or the setup on your meter from AC to DC when you go to test your DC current going to the battery. I forgot to do that. That's why I was getting some weird ratings. Then I flipped it to DC and I ended up showing 8 volts. So that's currently where I'm at right now. I'm pretty certain it's that voltage regulator, so that's gonna be the next thing that we take care of. If it doesn't end up being that voltage regulator, well then I guess we'll have to figure something else out. I think I have a voltage regulator around here somewhere we can swap that one out with, so we should be alright there. Let me go find that, and then once I go find that, we can see what happens, I guess, if it runs better and charges. Found a voltage regulator. It's a little bit newer than the one that we need for this, but it should work. Hopefully it bolts up, which it might be a little bit small. But yeah, let's see about getting that mounted. This could be fun to get out of here without taking everything out. Hopefully we don't have to take, oh yeah, we'll probably have to take the gas tank out. That kind of goes without saying. Let's just go on ahead and take the gas tank out. Yeah, we may as well. I don't really feel like fighting with it. But yeah, that explains why it was dropping the battery so bad when you turn on the headlights. And why it never seemed like it was charging anything. Because you'd hook stuff up to it for it to charge, and well, it wouldn't charge it. So, but yeah. Might need another battery, or we might just need to take that off with a ratchet. Those look like they've been on there for a long time, probably since 1971. Down here and loosen that. Let's see if we can. Without that pedal pin in my way. There's a bolt in there. I know we're not on it. There's no way. No. We might want a smaller socket for that one. Let's see what we get out of it. Bingo. We got it. Now did that... It's not turning. So now we need to take the bottom bolt. Let's try turning the bolt. There goes the socket and bolt, or the nut. Maybe we can get this to come off now. Man, that thing is stuck. I wonder what the paint's gonna look like underneath of that. I see it's been painted over. Nice green under here. I bet you it hasn't been off there in 50 years. Oh yeah, look at that. That's exactly what I expected to see. Nice green compared to this. That looks like shit. So let's see about putting this regulator on. These two right here go to the coil, the stator. Actually, that one should be, well, okay. And then this one in here. There we go. That is all, for the most part, wired. There's a lot of corrosion on that bolt. I just want to point that out. Yeah, see, look how much smaller of a footprint that regulator has. I'm going to see if I can find the correct style of regulator. Like I said, it may not even have just been getting a new round looking at those bolts. I should change them. Let's see if it, oh, it does. It lines up with the bottom. Cool. Find the hole. There it is. There we go. I think I'm missing a washer, but eh. There we go. And then we'll just come up here. There we go. So I guess let's put the gas tank back and let's see if it starts. I'm gonna do that off camera, I think, and then once I get that done, I'll bring y'all back. So let's go on ahead and see if anything changes at all. I've got the gas tank put on. Everything's all back together. Let's just see what happens if anything changes, if it shows any signs of life. Whoa. So, I just want to point out what is that noise? Where is that coming from? That's interesting. You don't think that this regulator is set up a different way than that, do you? Because it sounds like it's sending power to the stator. Something ain't right about that. The way that I would think it's set up is that one in the back goes to the, what's it called? The battery to charge it, but what I'm seeing is when I go to turn that key, this jumps all the way down to negative, and as we're hearing, we hear that noise. I wonder if it's energizing that stator, which is not what we want. Not at all. So I have my mind just to try to change. Let's just unhook this wire. Let's see what happens if we unhook that wire. No, it goes away. And the electrical system still works. So I wonder if we were to take and move, I hope we didn't fry anything by doing that, if that's what we did. Again, I don't know how it's supposed to go. I've got it hooked back up. Let's see what happens. Okay, we don't get any weird draw from it now. So yeah, I think we may have had it wired wrong. Let's try cranking it now and let's see what happens. Find out. Any difference? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, it likes to jump around for whatever reason. Like that. Well, let me see. I do not think we're getting any charge out of that at all. Let's try a little bit of throttle. I'm not quite gonna roll the regulator not being the problem out just yet. I don't know if that regulator is any good. It came off a parts tractor. For all I know, we could have wired it up wrong again. So, I don't know. Currently, I'm thinking about just finding another voltage regulator like the one that we took off. If I can find one, I don't know where you would look. But it could even be that key switch. I've seen that happen before. But well, we saw it when we checked it. There was no voltage coming out of that regulator. So yeah, there was only 8 volts coming out of it or something like that. So yeah, that's not right. So I don't think it's that stator. It could be that stator. I'm really hoping it's not. I got half mine to check that regulator and see. When I go to check it with the voltmeter, it should be jumping up to 13 volts, which as we see it's not doing. So that already tells me that there's something not right. So let me sit down and think about it for a little bit, and then maybe look around and see if I have any other parts or any other regulators we could throw on there and try. And once I do that, I will bring you guys back. Okay, so after doing some looking at things, I have determined something is not right in the wiring harness on this tractor. So I hooked up I got another regulator and I hooked it up, and I looked at it and I was correct. When I hooked up the other regulator I threw on there, it went on, the wire was on the right spot. So I took this wire, this voltage regulator off of another tractor of mine, and I threw it on here and I wired it up the way it's supposed to be. And yeah, it's doing the exact same thing it did before, where the ammeter jumps all around and it sounds like it's engaging the stator. So I have a suspicion something in this wiring harness is not right. I wish I knew what it was doing, but I seriously don't. I don't think it's anything to do with, it's got to be something to do with the stator. Because when you take that wire off and try doing that, it doesn't engage like that. And the voltmeter's jumping all the way around. So something there's not right. I'm not entirely sure. So, never seen that one before. But I'm thinking that the stator is getting power sent to it, which it's not supposed to. So that's already a problem. So yeah, we're gonna be into this one a little bit. I think the next route I want to go is gonna have to be the key switch. I don't know how old that key switch is on there. I'm pretty certain I've never changed that key switch out, and that's original 271. For all I know, it could possibly be. I've seen it before where the key switch causes some interesting problems when they are starting to go out. And I think with this one, if you have to have the key in a certain spot for it to crank. So at least I think. So this key switch might be on its way out. There could be a few different things that it could possibly be causing it to do that. It looks like I'll show you what it's doing. And it's not going specifically to, positive or negative on the meter. It's jumping around to both. Let me show you exactly what it's doing. You can see it goes to negative and then it'll jump over to positive and jump right, but yeah, you can see right there. Yeah, see, and then it kind of plays and jumps around in that key switch. So I have a suspicion it might possibly be that key switch that's giving us problems, but I'm not sure. I think this is where I'm going to end the video. I'm going to unhook the regulator and just leave it as is. We know the stator makes voltage and appears to be good, so that's not the problem. I think it's something in the wiring harness. If anybody knows what that could possibly be, leave me a comment down below. I'm gonna do some research on it myself, and I'm gonna see if I can figure something out. I'm just gonna go on ahead and assume it's a key switch and get that key switch replaced and took care of. So yeah, I might do that off camera, or I might do that on camera. So here's what I think is happening, and this is my reasoning for that. I'm starting to wonder if on the key switch we don't have it set up in the correct terminals. If I can get it to focus. There we go. I'm starting to wonder if I might have the terminals mixed around, but I also notice that when you turn the key switch, it jumps around in current. What I mean by jumps, or what I mean is there's multiple positions where it starts making that noise. You know, as you turn it, it's not constantly there and then it goes away, it jumps. So I'm starting to wonder about maybe inside the switch, it's possible that being a bad regulator that we had on there, it could be something inside of there and we just didn't notice it because it wasn't. Or maybe actually that could be what killed that other regulator. That's true. Don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not completely sure what I think could be the problem. That's just more or less my thought, is that key switch, and I'm thinking key switch is going to be the route that we go in figuring out issue. So I started doing some digging into it, and I figured out that, well, we had the wires flipped. The accessory wire, or the one that controls the headlights, yeah, we had some things kind of flipped. I had the voltage regulator wire on the wire that goes to accessories such as headlights. So in other words, this is on the wrong side. Right here is the regulator terminal, that right there is the accessory terminal. This is flipped. So yeah, and I don't know what wire goes to the headlights. That would be this one. So I guess now we gotta figure out where exactly everything needs to go. So I'm gonna do that, then I'll bring the camera. Got into it a little bit further and I swapped out the key switch for another one that I had. I want to see if anything changed at all. Maybe possibly now it'll decide that it wants to work and it will not jump. So let's turn the key and let's see what happens. It's coming from the engine, it's still doing it. The only place I could possibly think of is it being that stator. I don't want to try cranking it over and letting off of the start circuit, because well, if you try doing that, God knows if that's going to blow up a stator or not. I really don't want to have to pull that engine if I don't have to. But I'm not sure what exactly the deal is. So we'll probably end up having to go through the wiring system on here and fixing it, which I guess isn't really that big of a deal. We'll just go through it and see if we can find where exactly it's screwing up, if it's screwing up. So I got the battery tray and the fuel tank all took out. I just want to look and see if we see anything out of the ordinary in here, or something that looks like it might be a possible issue. I see this is kind of just hanging on there a little bit, but I seriously don't think that has anything to do with the issue that we're having. This wire right here goes to the headlights. Yeah, that goes to the headlights. Yeah, it does, because right there. So that's not the problem. This is from the key switch, I believe, or that goes to the rear lights. The green wire here goes to the cigarette lighter, and then from the cigarette lighter it goes to the headlight switch. So I don't see an issue with that. That's plugged into accessory. This is your voltage regulator wire. But when you don't have the voltage regulator wire on there, it doesn't send current through, which kind of makes me wonder. That's tight. And then these go up here to the amp meter. Your ground. You know what I just noticed? Well, look at that. That's just sitting on the... I was looking at that, I'm thinking, that doesn't look right. Sure enough, that's just sitting on there. Huh. So, that one's on there tight. That wire's on there tight. You don't... No, there's no way that was the problem. Not a chance. So, let me grab a couple washers. I did not expect that. Let me grab a couple washers real quick, and then after I grab those washers, we'll go on ahead and see about fixing that. I'm not sure if this will be too thick, but I guess we'll give them a shot and we'll see what we get out of them. There shouldn't be any current flowing through here right now. I seriously doubt that's the problem, but since I see it, I want to go on ahead and get it took care of, and I just seen that come off. That's great. I wonder if that was causing any problem at all, or if the fuel tank was holding it on there. Or, well, no, I don't think messing with the wires would have caused anything. Well, there's a few ways it could go, being that messing with it, I would think that I would have seen sparks. So that's out of the question. It's not from messing with it causing it to loosen, so I don't know. Tell you the truth, I don't know. I just find that kind of odd. That was loose on there like that. I might just leave that one off. So hopefully however, I'm gonna grab a thinner washer for in here. That's kind of thick. Actually, we could use this one if it doesn't go over that nut. No, it doesn't. Cool. Like so. And that'll hold on, or at least it should. So, yeah. There we go. Get that on there nice and tight without stripping it. There we go. That looks like it went on there really crooked, but I'm not gonna complain. what do you say we put some power to it? Stay. But other than that, I don't see anything in the wiring harness that really throws me off. That looks fine. Let's put some power on it. Let's just see if that was potentially the issue. So I seriously doubt that had anything to do with anything at all. That terminal being like that, but I guess you never know. Reason being, if it was sitting on the bottom of that gas tank like I think it was, then it would have been shorting out all the time. So let's just kick this back on. Whoa. Is that the starter trying to crank or? Alright. That's new. So no, it wasn't that. Okay, so after messing with this thing a little bit, I believe I may or may not have made a very, very unfortunate discovery. I messed with it some. I threw another key switch at it just to see what would happen. I pulled it out of another tractor and I stuck it in there. That didn't change anything. I also threw another regulator at it. As you can see it hanging from the tractor right now. I tried that. That did not fix anything. So I checked a couple other tractors I have and both of them send power to the stator also. But I believe that is normal. There's two of them that did it and both of them didn't seem like they had any issues. When I ran them and checked them charging, they both charged. So I'm starting to wonder if we have a defective solid stator. I'm guessing that is more than likely the route we're going to go next, is we're going to be taking that stator out. At the moment I am not prepared to do a stator replacement, or else I would go on ahead and get that engine pulled. That's going to be a later task to do, but at least I know what it is now. So unfortunately that's where I'm going to end it for the video. Currently we're looking at a new stator, which is unfortunate considering all the work I just put into this. But hopefully once we get that stator replaced, we'll finally be able to have a charging system and the engine or the tractor will keep itself charged. So I guess for right now I'm just going to take the wire off of the regulator, hook the regulator back up, and also, I think the reason why the other regulator didn't do that noise, that regulator that used to be on there was obviously no good. So with that being said, that's why it didn't make the buzzing noise. So that's currently where I'm at with this one. I'm just gonna leave it at that note, I guess. We got it running after we replaced the head gasket and everything else that we've done, but that's just where we're gonna have to leave it for right now. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If it's your first time checking out the channel, please consider going down below, hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It tells YouTube that you guys like the videos and want to see more. Unfortunately, we were not able to fix the problem well, we did fix the problem technically. The one that we came here originally to get, which was get that engine running a little bit better, which we did. But at the same time, a new problem has arose, which, great. And this is a pretty heavily used tractor, so I kind of got to keep this one going. So I guess that's where I'm going to end it. I guess I will see all of you in the next video when we pull that stator, and yeah, that is going to be a chore. So there you go. Alright guys, take care. Bye.